In order to replace this hideous tool post with this beautiful wedge tool holder, we need to manufacture a block. This is the block here that goes down in the slot in our compound slide, and when we tighten our tool holder, this whole rig is held in here in this T-slot. So we have to make one of these out of this. This is what came with the new tool holder. Threads into the fastener down below. I have to machine most of this away to get it to fit in here. I could start with another block and retap that hole. That's arguable. I don't think I have another piece of tool steel. I'm not 100% certain I have that tap. That's a large metric tap. So I'm going to, that may not be metric. But anyways, I'm going to machine this down. Now I have loosened the screws here that hold the gibs in. It lets me remove my compound slide. Because I have one of these. This is an Atlas milling attachment. Back when I originally got my lathe, the red one I'm now working on to restore, I ordered one of these. And at the time it wasn't too horribly expensive. Now they're very expensive. Now there's a plunger that goes in this hole, which, yay, there it is. And you can see it has a bevel on it. This one's upside down. I'm going to turn these around. Let's get this one out. I mounted this up once about 20 years ago. And I never machined anything with it. But this is the real factory McCoy. I know that one gib isn't aligned, so we're going to tighten and loosen, and let it slowly turn. There we go. I believe this one was aligned. Okay. So what I can do with this tool is mount a piece of material in here, and then I can put a tool, a mill, in a chuck, and go back and forth and machine this off. Okay, this is the tool bit I'm going to use. And I should be able to machine this, or possibly I will turn and look at this and see all the possibilities for how I might do this. Yeah, I'm going to have to use the end of the end mill. And I will machine this off. Now, I don't have a proper collet to hold this, so I'm going to have to use my 3-jaw chuck, which is not optimal, but hopefully I'll be able to make it work. Now, before I can actually machine that, I need to dial this in and make sure that this is straight. So that'll be the first procedure that we do. So let me get this stuff out of here. Alright, the first thing we have to do is dial it in like this. And I've got it on the back wall. I've got the needle on the back wall here. And I see when I move the tool that way, the needle goes down. So I need to turn this some. That's hard. That's soft. So we'll turn this a little more. Let me snug these gibs up here. And of course I have my carriage locked down over here. Okay, so that is soft, so I need to come around that way a little more. Got the cross feed about at the end of its throw. Okay, that's getting harder, so I've got to come back the other way a little bit. Set this back on 0. So this direction is hard. Still a little bit hard. Zero this. The needle moves over to this side. Is soft. This side is hard. Okay, so the back of the vise is moving away. Trying to come back about half the distance. That's hard. There we go. Make sure I don't have the needle. Yep, we've got throw around the needle there. Come back to 0. Now this doesn't have to be super duper square for this operation. It would be nice if it was close. And it looks like I have it pretty good. Now this vise can rotate in this dimension too. So I need to dial that in. We'll get that set up. Make sure these gibs are not too loose. Raising the vise up. That's roughly on 0, enough for us to check it. Oh, look at that. Looks like I may have done this job once before. Not out too bad. Look at that thing move all over the place. So we're sitting on 1 plus. Back here we're on 0. I'm going to loosen these just slightly. Okay. On 0. Oops. I'm going to move it that way. 0. So it might be slightly hard over there. Now we're definitely low over here. I have these gibs a little too loose for this. Sure isn't taking much to turn it. So that's about one hard. And that's right on 0. I moved it about a half a thou. Come back over here about an inch. We should be less than one hard if I understand what I'm doing. No, we're more than one hard. Oh, no, we're sitting about one hard. You know what? We're on this side of the axis, so every time I move this, I'm raising and lowering both measurements. Should be checking it on either side of 0, but I don't have either side of the center of the jaw, but I don't have my indicator set up in a good spot for that. Well, I think I have it pretty level. Detecting a lot of that needle movement, I think, is just how the thing is ground. Snug that up a little more. And I have tightened up my gibs here on both sides. So I believe I'm zeroed in well enough for this job. Get our work mounted in here. I'm going to make sure it's hard against the back and the bottom, and I've wiped it off carefully. This plate on top is just to protect it from being marked. Before I get too crazy tightening it, make sure it's seated good. Here's my rough plan. My slot that I need to fit this block into is an inch 30 wide, inch 300 wide, excuse me. The height of the slot is 320. So I need to, let's see here, the block itself is an inch 88 wide. If I was to hold it in the same orientation of the slot, it's like this, an inch 888. So I need to get it down to something less than 320. So I need to take my actual block is an inch 888 wide. So the first thing I'm going to do is narrow this to something under an inch 30. Now, 1 inch 880 minus 1 inch 300 means I got to take 580 thousandths off. Well, I got to take it half of it off each side, so that's 290. So 1 inch 880 minus 290 is about 1 inch 590, and that's measured from the back of the vise to the front of the part. Now, I noticed that there may be a slight radius inside of this jaw. But I noticed that, well, no, I'm about 1 inch 882 here. And I'm 1 inch 898 in the back. This block isn't necessarily parallel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove material until I get down to about 1 inch 590 from the back of the jaw to the front of the part. Now I've not run any test cuts. You can see my part is still black oxide. I may have a problem with the bit moving in the chuck. This is not a proper way to hold this bit. Alright, this is what I'm going to use to set the carriage depth. Now this is some kind of homemade carriage stop. It clamps on the bedways. It doesn't have any kind of micrometer on it, but it is a quarter 20 screw. I believe that's quarter 20 screw. Actually, it looks a little bigger than that. Ooh, it's 5/16. This is probably 5/16 16. Would that be it? I believe it's 5/16 16. I'm not sure what the standard size is for 5/16. But we know we need to move 290. So what I'm going to do is, using this jam nut here and this thread, I can position this so that it's emerging from here 290. What do we got there? 258. Come a little farther back. And I can't show you both ends of the tool at the same time. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. So there's 286. And I need a little bit of clearance. So I'm going to set this about 300 thousandths. And there I am, about 300 thousandths. Now, without disturbing that, my fastener here, I have it sticking out here about 300 thousandths. I'm going to push this up against the, oh, look at that. It hits that screw there. I thought I had this worked out. Here we go. I have it worked out. So I'm going to position this up against this piece of stock. And I'm going to lock it down. My block was hitting the screw on the bed wiper there. Lock these down good. Okay. Let me double check that. Yeah, that's good. So, what I'm going to do now is retract the screw. When the carriage gets in so far that it's pushing against this, there should be the height of the screw here, which is about 300 thousandths. So this will be our gauge block to stop our inward travel so that we don't take too much off of the block. Well, at the risk of looking like a fool, I think I have it set up now. One more thing I'm going to do. Remember I said I was worried about that tool working its way out of the chuck. I'm going to put a little ink mark on it just so I can see it if it moves out. I'm going to put the screw in the carriage stop up against the carriage. I can use that just as a rough measure to turn it in and out. Here goes nothing. That's a fast enough cutting speed for the bit. I'm going to speed it up. feels like it's a bit slow to me. Actually, I'm going to change the 2-speed pulley over here. And we'll drop down a speed here. Let's see what my instincts look like. It looks and feels like an okay cut. I've been very impressed with some gingery lathe videos, which is a series of videos, a series of books, let me say, that were put out years ago for how to build your own home machine shop. And one of the first things you build is, a foundry, or the tools for a foundry, raising the part up, and then you use that to cast the bed of the lathe. And what's fascinating is before the lathe is complete, they're using the lathe to make the parts for the lathe. And in some sense, that's what we're doing here. This lathe is by no means all set up and complete and ready to do everything. I don't have complete tooling for it. You know, I'm taking a climb cut there. That's not a good idea. I'm going to raise this up higher. There we go. Climb cut is when the blade, when the cutting bit is turning in a sense like a tire spinning on the road. Pulling the work towards it. If the road is the work and the tire is the cutting bit, you can imagine how a spinning tire pulls the pavement towards it. We want this to be the other way, where the bit is trying to push the work away